On December 18th at 8:40, did you make a call to Heather Garraus's direct number at the State Employees Credit Union? One more page, I think.
Yeah, that's the one. It says that I made a blocked call. And at 8:40, I think what I was doing was a lot of times on Heather's voicemail, she would just leave whether she was going to be in the office that day or not. And I was just curious as to whether she was going to be there because I wanted to go into the credit union and close out my account that day. I didn't want to have anything more to do with that credit union.
Did you make another call at December 18th, on December 18th at 10:56?
I don't remember it, but the phone records say that I did.
Did you go to the credit union on December 18th?
I did.
And what did you do there?
I closed out just an account that I had open there.
Why did you close it out on December 18th?
Because I knew what was going on probably at the Garraus house, and I didn't want to have to ever see Heather again. I didn't want to have any kind of confrontation with her.
On December 18th at approximately 7:06 p.m., did you receive a call from Mr. Garraus?
Yes.
And during that phone call, did he tell you that your relationship with him was over?
Yes, he did.
Okay. How long did that conversation last?
The phone call lasted approximately 1 minute and 30 seconds, I believe. The silence during that phone call felt like forever. I didn't know what to say.
What was your reaction to what Mr. Garraus was saying to you?
I had kind of been thinking that our relationship would end. But when he told me that he could no longer have any kind of contact with Christian, I got upset.
Yeah. And when you say upset, what do you mean?
I believe, well, I think, I'm not sure if he hung up or I hung up, but the call ended and I cried. And then I was mad.
Yeah. Did you try to call back a few minutes later at 7:09?
I did. I wanted to hear a little bit more about what had happened because it was just such a short conversation and really nothing was said other than that's it. And I felt like I deserved more than that after 3 years.
Did you at some point send a text message that evening to Mr. Garraus?
Yes.
Show us what marked is. Equals and admitted as Exhibit 13. My loyalty is gone. I loved and trusted you, and you fucked me. Be prepared. Did you send that text message?
I did.
Why did you send that?
Because I was angry that Ig would abandon Christian like that. Just in a sentence say, okay, see ya. Don't care about your son. Bye.
When you said be prepared, what did you mean?
After I sent it, I thought, wow, that sounds bad. So that's when I called their house and left that other voicemail that you guys had heard that said, you know, if you guys think you don't have money or whatever, you're going to pay. And that's how I meant it. I meant that I was going to take them and get an attorney and have Ig financially still pay for Christian.
Did you intend to inflict any sort of physical violence on either of the Garrauses?
No.
Your intent at that point was to seek child support?
Yes, it was.
Did you also, during this time period, send by text a photograph of Christian with the words "Ig's flesh and blood"?
I did.
Why did you Did you send that to the Garrauses?
I believe I sent that actually to Heather's phone, and it was just out of spite, just to create drama, I guess.
Okay. Did you also send another text message later that evening stating you have no heart?
I did. I sent that to Ig, and that was referencing the fact that he didn't want to have anything to do with Christian.
The next day, on December 19th, did you know where Mr. Garraus was going to be at a particular time that day?
I did. He had told me when we were at Jackson's the night before that he had a DOR hearing, so I knew that that's where he would be.
Did you go there?
I did.
And why did you go there?
I went there because I felt like after 3 years that he at least needed to look me in the face and say, it's over, rather than a minute and 30-second phone call.
Did you meet Mr. Garraus outside the DOR hearing?
I did. There was a space open next to his truck, so I parked there. I had Christian with me. I saw him come out, and I got out of my expedition, and he said, I can't talk to you. And I said, I think you at least deserve to say something to me after 3 years. I want to hear you say it to my face.
And what did he say to you?
I actually asked him, I said, I want you to say that you don't love me and that you don't want to have anything to do with Christian. And he did say, I don't love you. And then he looked away and he said, Christian will be better off with Ken.
What happened at that point?
I was shocked. I was shocked. I looked at him and I said, you are a loser. And I got in my car and I left.
Did you have any physical confrontation with Ig Garraus?
No.
Did you do anything to his car?
No.
Later that day, did you decide how to approach this situation?
I did. Well, the night before I had already thought about getting an attorney. So I did call an attorney that both Ken and I were acquaintanced with and told him what was going on. And pretty much he said, no problem, we can get this taken care of.
Back up here. Earlier on December 19th, did you make a call at 9 a.m., did you make a call to information and then to Wendy Jones' number?
Yes, I did. Ig had referenced Heather's sister quite a few times in conversation. And so I knew what her name was. The day before, I had received call after call after call of anonymous phone calls, and I didn't answer them. And finally, it got to the point where I had to answer it. And it was a woman, and she said, your cell phone number is on my caller ID. And I said, no, I haven't called anybody today. And she said, so could it have been, she said, who is this? And I said, who is this? And she said, well, it doesn't matter. Could it have been a wrong number? And I said, apparently, because I haven't made any phone calls. And then I started thinking about everything that was going on, and I thought, that could have been Heather's sister. So what I did was I just called information to see if there was a number for her. And I was going to just call and listen to her voice and see if that's, in fact, who had called me.
Did you talk to Wendy Jones?
No, I didn't. The number, I blocked my call to the residents. And then that specific number said that it didn't take blocked calls. And I thought, this is stupid. I'm not going to go any farther with it. So I didn't try again.
After seeing Mr. Garraus at the DOR hearing, did you call Heather Garraus's direct line at the credit union?
The phone records say that I did. I don't remember specifically doing that.
Later on December 19th, did you send this email at 2:44 that begins, "Dear Mr. Garraus"?
Yes, I did. That was after I had talked to our attorney.
And who was that?
At the time, it was Dallas Greenfield. He's an attorney in Greeley.
And did you hire Mr. Greenfield that day?
I did.
And that was to accomplish what was that to accomplish?
Between the time that I talked to IG and the time that I sent this actual email to him, I had spoken with a bunch of friends about what had occurred. And one friend in particular, Michelle Moore's boyfriend, Tim Young, had told me that it was very, very hard to let somebody have half custody of a child. He was in that kind of a relationship himself. And he talked me out of doing that and said it would be best if I just tried to get all parental rights terminated. And actually that did make more sense to me. So that's what I in turn decided to do.
When this email makes reference to "you are your mother's son," what did you mean by that?
When Ig was young, his mother just upped and left, just took off to be with some guy, and left Ig to raise a small child. I think Ig was probably 12 or 13 at the time. And so it was just a little dig.
Did you then later that night at 8:41 try to call Mr. Garraus?
I think actually I had sent him, or I had left a voicemail on that one. That was 68 seconds. Just saying that I had sent him that email, making sure he got it.
A couple days later, did you again call Mr. Garraus?
I did.
And 2 seconds, did you talk to him?
No,
Did you get through to his phone?
I don't know. I don't believe so. I think on that, the 21st, is that what we're talking about, the 21st?
Yes.
I think that day was out of curiosity. In the past, Ig and I both had changed our cell phone numbers on each other, kind of as a take that type thing. I had done it to him, he had done it to me. So I called out of curiosity to see if he had changed his cell phone number.
There's a series of calls on that day, December 21st.
Yes.
You call Heather's direct number.
It says I did at 7:45 at night, but I don't know why. Maybe to see if Heather's extension had changed.
You weren't attempting to talk to Heather Garraus?
No.
Did you call on December 24th at 10:15 to the Garraus home?
Yes, and that was, again, it was just curiosity. I wanted to see if they had changed their home phone number.
Were you aware that the Garrauses were going to Florida for Christmas?
Yes.
These calls on the 25th, 27th, so on, is that during the time that you knew they would be in Florida?
Yeah, I knew they'd be gone during that time.
Why were you calling?
That was when I decided to call just to see if their landline number had changed, because I knew nobody would answer.
On January 3rd, did you send the email, "I really need to talk to you, please call me"?
I did.
And why did you send that email?
I think I, again, was trying to reiterate the fact to myself, more than anything, that Ig didn't want to have anything to do with Christian. In my mind, I just couldn't see that somebody wouldn't want to have something to do with their son. So I think I was trying to give him another chance to change his mind on that.
January 5th, did you send the next email that ends with the vanilla and fat comment?
Yes, I did.
What were the circumstances of that?
Michelle and I had gone out, Michelle Moore and I had gone out for drinks and met another guy that we had previously met at the Cactus Canyon a couple nights before. And this guy wanted me to hook him up with Michelle. She had split up with her boyfriend at the time and was living with me. And so that's where we met this guy, to have drinks and lunch.
Okay. And why did you send this email?
We were drunk. Pretty much we were just messing around.
On January 9th, did you call the Garraus home phone at 9:12 p.m.?
It says I did. I don't remember that at all.
Okay. January 10th at, let's see which is first. At 5:59, did you call the Greeley Police Department officer voicemail line?
Right, and I think I just left Ig a message saying, I had sent you an email, you didn't get back with me, you need to call me.
Then did you send the email that states, "I left you a voicemail"?
I did. A lot of times he wouldn't check his voicemail daily, so I just left this email so that he would know that I had called his work extension.
The next day, on January 11th, did you then again call the voicemail?
I don't think it was to talk to Ig. I don't, it says I called, but I never left Ig another message.
Okay. On January 16th, did Mr. Garraus send you the email about contacting or giving you information on your attorney, his attorney, Julie Scroggins?
He did.
Shortly after that, did you call Julian Garraus, Ignacio's father?
I did.
Why did you do that?
I believe it was the same day, because the email specifically says no contact with me as well as any of my family, including my father.
Had you met Julian Garraus before?
I had on 3 different occasions.
And was Julian Garraus aware of your relationship with Ignacio Garraus?
Yes.
And was he aware of Christian Nelson?
He was.
What was Julian Garraus's position regarding Christian?
He loved Christian. He still wanted to have something to do with Christian. And so that's why I called Julian. I specifically told him what Ig's email had said. And Julian had said, "Ig does not speak for me. I want you to freely call me anytime you want. I want to know how Christian's doing. I want to see pictures of him."
Did you then send the email back to Ignacio Garraus at 2:20 p.m. after that phone call to Julian?
Yes, I did.
Now, in early January, did you stated that Mr. Greenfield had been preparing paperwork for these legal proceedings?
Yes.
Did you determine that you wished to take a trip?
I did.
And on January 11th, did you do something with that regard?
I did. I bought a plane ticket to go see my brother.
How did you get the money to pay for that plane ticket?
Well, at that time we were short on cash, and so I had told Ken that I really wanted to go out and spend some time with my brother in Vegas. And just, no kids, no anything, just to get away and have some fun.
And
so he gave me a rifle and a pistol and told me to go pawn it. So I did.
Did you use that money to purchase the plane ticket?
I did. Right after I got the money, I went and put it in our account, and then I used my account credit card to purchase the plane ticket.
There's been testimony that after Heather Garraus's murder that Ken Nelson was in possession of nearly $7,000 in cash.
I learned that after, yes.
Okay. As a result of divorce proceedings, have you learned where that money came from?
I have.
And where did it come from?
It was an inheritance that he had gotten from his grandmother.
Did he have that money, to your knowledge, on January 11th when you pawned the Glock 23 and shotgun?
No.
Why did you pawn the Glock 23 and the shotgun at King's Pawn in Greeley?
Because Ken needed to get to work. He told me to hurry. There was no need for me to go back to Loveland. I didn't work in dispatch anymore. I really didn't care at that point if, who in dispatch saw, because I wasn't working there anymore. So I just went to King's Pawn.
Okay. After pawning the Glock 23, did you have possession of any other handguns?
No.
Okay. Well, this probably is a good point.
I will be in recess for about 20 minutes. Please follow the bailiff.
And I had said that I wanted to show her something. And I had put it on in the bathroom, and I had come around the corner and acted like I was scaring her. And we kind of laughed about it. And I asked her if she thought that was too much for me to use to scare the kids at Halloween, because they're still kind of young, so I kind of wanted her interpretation of it.
Okay. And there was a couple times after that?
The 2 times after that were both in Ken's truck.
Was there a time that Ken was searching his truck looking for a magazine?
There was.
Okay. Did you, what was your involvement with that?
Ken wasn't real good about remembering where he had left stuff at times. And he had come in and asked me if I had seen some, high-powered magazine for some gun. I don't know. I'm not into, that was his thing. And I said, no, I don't know, but I can certainly help you look for it. So we, at that time, had gone out to the truck and started going through stuff, and we got into an argument about how much trash was in his truck. There was just tons of kids' toys and litter, stuff that we had just thrown on the floor, pretty much, just trash. So we had kind of had an argument about that, and we started cleaning it out.
Was the mask in the truck at that time?
The mask was in there. Ken actually had pulled it out and said, well, what do you want me to do with this? Just a normal conversation, and I said, just leave it in here.
Had you at some prior Halloween party had a nun outfit?
Yeah, that was the year that I was pregnant with Christian, so that would have been October of 2005.
Okay, what became of that, the robe part of that outfit?
We never keep stuff like that. I always keep like headdresses, things of that nature that the kids might play with. But I had no use for it, so I think I just had Ken throw it away. I can't say for sure, but we had gone through 2 moves since then. I would have no idea.
Did you have any sort of robe in 2007, in January 2007?
No.
A full-length black robe?
No.
Okay. There has been discussion of the sweater that you were wearing.
Right.
There was testimony this morning by Detective Krill that it's calf length. Is that true?
No, it's not.
I'd like to have permission to open exhibit
People have no objection.
103.
People have no objection to him opening the case.
Handing you the sweater from Exhibit 103, you will recognize this?
Yeah, that's the sweater my mom had bought me.
Does this extend to your calves?
No.
Can you place this on?
Sure. And it doesn't have buttons or a zipper or anything. It just is an open.
If you could scan all the jersey.
Sure.
Since it's being displayed, can you see all the way down? It's moving underneath.
Sure.
Can you see what?
Now it's being moved around. If you were asking questions about the length. To the front.
On January 20th, or approximately January 20th, do you recall receiving a letter from the Garraus' attorney?
I do.
What was your reaction to that letter?
I thought it was kind of odd. My initial response, I had told Ken that it probably was sent because Ig was trying to prove to Heather that he still was not having any contact with me, is what I got out of the letter.
Okay. Had you spoken to Ignacio Garraus since the DOR hearing on December 19th?
No.
Had you spoken to Heather Garraus at all in December and January?
No.
And the last email you had sent to Mr. Garraus was on the 16th?
I believe so.
Okay. Did this letter cause you to develop some sort of plan to kill Heather Garraus?
No.
On January 22nd, did you have any plans for that day?
I had had plans for several weeks for that day.
Had anything, just back up to that weekend before the 22nd, had anything unusual happen during the weekend that caused you to have any sort of change of attitude towards Heather Garraus?
No.
Had you and Ken done anything in particular on the 21st, Sunday the 21st?
Yeah, we had gone and we called it a date. We had met his cousin and some other friends up at the stock show and watched a rodeo.
On the 22nd, you stated that there been arrangements for a birthday dinner.
For Michelle Moore, yes.
When had those arrangements been made?
Almost right after her birthday, which was on the 11th. For whatever reason, we couldn't do it then, but in the past, we had always gone out to dinner or done something like that for her birthday.
On that day, what vehicle did you use on the 22nd?
I used both vehicles that day.
Okay. Did you, at the point when you went to get Michelle Moore, did you have the truck?
I did.
And why were you driving the truck?
On Mondays is the day that Ken is always home. That's one of his scheduled days off. And Jordan, our daughter, has Girl Scouts on Mondays. And I loved being a part of that. So Ken would keep the boys, and I would take the truck because it doesn't have a car seat.
Now, there's been testimony that you didn't like driving the truck. Is that correct?
It just rode more rough than the Expedition.
Did you drive the Expedition more than the truck?
Yes.
Was it your preference to drive the Expedition?
Yes.
Okay. Did you more than once or twice drive the truck?
A lot more than once or twice.
Okay. Particularly when, where was the car seat normally kept?
We just had one, and it was kept in my car in the center of the back seat, and then the two big kids would sit on each side of Christian and keep him entertained.
And when you refer to my car, what are you referring to?
Oh, sorry, the Expedition.
Okay. Did you pick up Michelle Moore on the 22nd?
I did.
Driving the truck?
I was.
And did the two of you go to a Girl Scout meeting with Jordan?
We did.
And did you do something in particular at that Girl Scout meeting?
I did. Sorry. I was asked by the Girl Scout leader to do a presentation about calling 911 and fire safety. And I taught the girls how to do the Heimlich.
After the Girl Scout meeting, did you, Michelle, and Jordan go somewhere?
We did. We were already planning to go out to dinner that night, so I just ran to McDonald's, and Ken didn't want anything from McDonald's, so I got him a Starbucks. Those were the two places we went.
And how did you get there from the location of the Girl Scout meeting? Was that near Sanborn Park?
It was in the, I don't know what the name of the church is, but it was in the church right there, right off of Sanborn Park.
Okay. How did you go from there to McDonald's and Starbucks?
Well, my thoughts were that
What route did you take?
the route that I took was Reservoir to 23rd Avenue, and then we went down to 25th Street, and then we went to McDonald's first and got a couple of Happy Meals, and then we went over and got a Starbucks for Ken.
And how did you return to your house? What route did you take?
The same way.
Well, when you got to 23rd Avenue,
When
what
we
did you
went,
do?
yeah, when we got to 23rd, Reservoir Road kind of jogs. It's real weird right there, and it's just faster to go from 23rd to 20th. And then our house is almost right off of 20th Street, so that's the way I would always go home.
Both going to and from, did you go by the credit union?
Yes.
After leaving Starbucks, did you tell Michelle Moore to do anything to Ken's coffee?
No, I didn't.
Did you ever give Michelle Moore crushed up Ambien or crushed up any type of drug?
No.
Was there any discussion on the 22nd about doing anything to Heather Garraus?
Nothing.
Was there any discussion about Michelle Moore babysitting your children?
No.
Was there any discussion about taking a bath?
Not that night.
Was there any discussion about Michelle serving as some sort of alibi?
No.
When you went by the credit union, did you notice anything in particular about the credit union?
I did. It's just in my nature to look and see if people are at certain places. When we would drive by my sister's house, I looked to see if her car's in the driveway. We drove by the credit union, and I glanced to see if Heather's car was there.
Okay. Are you familiar with what Heather's car looks like?
Yes.
And have you seen it on occasions prior to this?
I've ridden in it.
Okay. Was her car there on the 22nd when you went to and from McDonald's and Starbucks?
No.
On the 22nd, when you returned home, displayed is this series of phone calls from your home phone. Did you make those telephone calls?
I did.
Were you aware of Heather Garraus's direct line?
Yes, I'd called it many times.
Okay. Had you called her direct line many times before this date?
Before that day, yeah.
Okay. On January 22nd, did you call Heather Garraus's direct line?
No.
Why didn't you call her direct line?
The reason I was calling the credit union was because I never had gotten my final statement from when I had closed out my account on December 18th. And for whatever reason, it came up that night. I just decided to call. My cell phone battery was dying on my cell phone, so I asked Ken if I could use his cell phone to make a quick call. And that's what it was. And I intentionally called every extension except for Heather's because I didn't want to talk to her. I didn't want to have to, have her deal with me or me deal with her.
Did you talk to anyone upon dialing any one of those extensions?
No, I just kept getting voicemails.
Okay. Did you go straight through just as listed 4900, 01, 03, 4, 5, 6, and 8?
Yeah, and by then I just was frustrated. I just figured I would call later.
Okay. Did you ever talk to anyone that said that Heather Garraus was not at the bank?
No.
Did you ever talk to one and ask whether Heather Garraus was at the bank?
No.
Was it your purpose to find out if Heather Garraus was there?
No.
Did you already know she was not there?
Yes, I already knew she wasn't.
Did you, in fact, go to dinner with Ben McNeese and Michelle Moore that night?
Yes.
And there's been testimony that first you went to the Rio, is that correct?
Yes, we did.
Had dinner there.
Mm-hmm.
Was any of the discussion at dinner time regarding Heather Garraus?
I don't recall that it was. If there was, I do remember my cousin at one time, we would always crack fat jokes because all of us are fat. And he had said that the reason that they had redone the credit union was so that Heather could fit. But that's the only thing that I ever remember talking about that night.
Did you go to the Jackson's Hole with Michelle after dinner?
I did.
And did you and Michelle Moore talk about Heather Garraus while you were at Jackson's Hole?
No.
After leaving Jackson's Hole, what occurred?
I was driving Michelle home and told her that I no longer could have a sexual relationship with her, that I had been thinking about it all through our drinks, and that since I was trying to actually maybe finally be loyal to Ken, that I needed to completely fess up, and that I was going to go home and tell Ken also about my relationship with Michelle. And I told her I loved her, and that I still wanted to remain friends with her, but I couldn't keep lying to Ken. It was too much.
What was Michelle Moore's reaction to that?
She was very upset.
On Tuesday, January 23rd, did you do anything in particular on that day, early in the day?
I took the kids to school. I think I called Ken on his cell. I think that's one of them, to see if he wanted a Starbucks. And then I went home.
Did you have any physical ailment on the 23rd?
I wouldn't call it an ailment. I just had a headache all day. The day before, I had unloaded the dishwasher, and I was just putting away a pan, and the pantry door came back and hit me in the head, and I just had a headache. I mean, I didn't think I needed medical attention or anything like that. It wasn't that bad.
After, did you pick up your children from school?
Yes, I did.
And what did you do then?
I had tried to call Michelle while I was waiting for the kids to come out of school.
Did you reach Michelle?
I didn't. I just got her voicemail. I did leave a voicemail. I tried to call again. There was no answer. She wouldn't answer it.
What message did you leave for Michelle Moore?
I told her that I was sorry that I had to end the affair, that I did love her, that I wanted to talk to her about it more, that I would be home all night, that I had a headache, and I was going to take a bath.